live in one moment. Okay, we're live. Good evening, Tewksbury. It is 6:05 p.m. on Thursday, July 18th, 2019. I'd like to call this meeting of the Tewksbury Board of Health to order. First item on our agenda tonight is approval of minutes from our June 20th, 2019 meeting. The minutes that were provided to you tonight in your packet were reviewed by our clerk as well as myself. So does anyone have any comments, questions, or proposed changes?
I have none.
None here.
I can't comment since I was not here at the last meeting.
Okay.
That's all.
So hearing no comments, someone like to make a motion to approve the minutes as submitted?
I'll second that.
Who made the motion?
Who's making? Okay, so
So you started, you made
yeah,
the
you
motion.
made the motion.
I'll second.
Okay. So motion's been put forth and seconded to approve the minutes of the June 20th, 2019 Board of Health meeting as submitted. All those in favor signify by stating aye.
Aye.
How many ayes?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Chair votes aye as well. Motion carries unanimously. Okay.
Thank you.
Moving on, next item under new business is Wallace Herrera, new body art intern apprentice, a Route 38 tattoo to meet the board. So Todd, I know you know the routine, but if you want to just both sign in on that sign-in sheet. Once you've done, if you both want to speak clearly into the microphone, your name and address, please.
Hi, Todd Arsenault, 39 Harjean Road, Barica, Mass.
My name is Wallace Henrique Góes Herrera, and I live in Billerica.
Okay.
So we received an application on June 24th, which included most of the items until recently. We were missing one item, which was a training certificate for the anatomy and physiology class, which came in last, so I believe you did discuss that. But we do have all information regarding certifications and immunizations and everything else. He's completed the checklist.
And
This
just
is for an apprentice, just to mind.
Okay. So just more as a point of information for the board members, if you're not aware, the Quincy Health Department, the Quincy nurse used to run a skin course for tattoo practitioners, which is no longer being run. So now they are looking at different places in this Wallace training. Other prior applicants have gotten certified for. So I have just a couple of questions myself on the training packet. So first, Todd, it looks like you actually had Wallace come down and do training on site. Was that for everyone, or was that?
He does do it for everyone, but due to them just doing it a year ago, I didn't think it was necessary for everybody to do it. But from here forward, it seems convenient enough to do it that way, yeah.
Okay.
He's
Were you
very
closed?
knowledgeable, very,
Were you closed that day, or?
no, he just in the waiting room, he did everything. And he was actually very knowledgeable with the tattoo world. He was very good.
Does he use slides and things, or how does he?
He just sat down, had a meeting with all paperwork, used the dummy for the CPR. And, I mean, it's not a small weight room, it's a decent sized weight room. And usually when people come in, they go right to their booth. So it's not like everybody's sitting in the weight room, unless it's Friday the 13th, of course.
Yeah.
And we're going to try to avoid any confusion talk tonight because the first name or the last name of the trainer is Wallace, and the first name of the applicant is Wallace. So we're going to try to make sure we're clear about whom we're speaking about time we refer to Wallace. So with the training, was it this Wallace, the applicant, the only person that took the training? Were there other people there? Okay, so it was direct one-on-one training?
Yes.
Okay. I'm just going to make sure I understand everything. So he did the training for the skincare since he found out we weren't going to, director was not going to let the online one go. In addition to the skin course, there was also like CPR, because I guess some of your other training had been done online, then you heard that we would not say accept online training for something that's hands-on like CPR or first aid, so looks like you got the CPR and first aid done there as well?
Yes, that was a miscommunication that I gave him on the CPR, but then Wallace Training Facility handled that.
Okay. No, I think it's good whenever you can have the trainer come on site, because then hopefully to get multiple people there, it helps if everyone hears the same thing
Yes.
at the same time. Then it helps you think about what might happen in your own facility and how you might handle it. And then you have the instructor there to ask, what would you do if this happened?
It's actually a good idea.
So I think that's very commendable. And as a CPR first aid instructor for almost 30 years, I commend you for that, because there's definitely great value. And I wish more of my classes were like that. So,
I personally, even when I stopped tattooing, I take it every year too for the last 18 years. And used it twice, so it's very helpful.
so my only questions are on the certificate of, for the skin disease identification preparation tattoo aftercare training program. I mentioned that that was 8 hours in length, and the CPR course was also offered that same day with 6 hours. So there was, by paper, 14 hours of training on a one-to-one basis. Seems like an awfully long,
He was there
Day
for a
of training.
10-hour day. I don't know why those say different. I've never been to a CPR that's more than 3 hours. That's,
yeah, because
and I've been doing it for 18 years, to be honest with you. But I don't know how you run your class. There's a lot of things that change with CPR and compressions and stuff that it's really not that.
So you're suggesting he put the wrong number of hours? Is that what?
I'm assuming.
So you're being
because
honest, you're saying he was there
definitely
10
not there
hours?
16
He was there 10
for the
hours.
day, no. He was
Yeah,
there 10
it's more-
hours.
I'm
He was
just-
there a long day.
That's honest.
Yeah.
But it's why he maybe has a template he used and didn't, I don't know. That we'd have to ask him.
yeah, because if it's a CPR course, it's infant, child, and adult. You're doing the CPR AED for the Heart Saver. That takes, by the book, 3.5 hours. And then you have the adult first aid, which is a 4-hour course. So, yeah, 6 hours I can see, especially if it's just one person, because you don't have other people. The other question I have is on the skin course. There had been, in the handout, there was a skin course training competencies. And I guess in fairness, this is the first time we've ever seen from Wallace what actually comprises their skin course. And I was just curious, because 2 of them deal with piercings, problem with piercings and piercing healing times. So my question for you was simply, is this something that you're getting Wallace trained in piercings because you're hoping at some point to do piercings, or is this just his standard training package?
He actually mentioned it because people often come in my shop, and I believe 2 happened was that day asking for piercings. He says, I actually give the anatomy course also for piercing. I said, I just shut that right there. It's not something I'm in.
So you think he did not give that part of it? Because it's listed as one of the proficiencies that he did.
Well, some of them, I'm sure anatomy runs with piercing. So the anatomy on skin course, knowing the anatomy is part of the same thing, but not as in-depth. You know what I mean? Because knowing the anatomy, you have to know the anatomy much more to start putting needles through someone like that. As to the skin course with tattooing, we're not breaking the first 2
Maybe
layers
that's
of skin.
part he shortened
You know?
to make the
Well, we
10
can,
hours.
I can only tell you that my recollections were from Todd from when they started, that they never were interested in piercings from our meetings. I think it's on I think it's on file with our notes. Secondarily, when I looked at that and we saw it, piercings, you do pierce the skin with the needles. I don't know the exact depths when they're doing tattoos, so it never hurts to have more information. So I'm okay with that. There may be just like the course. I do have a call into Mr. Wallace to just find out more about the course, because it seems since the Quincy course has shut down, there has to be someone, and we've already accepted it from some other people. So I think it just will get clarification from him as well on the times and the what he's actually teaching in the courses.
Now, at first you had said he wasn't going to do the course.
Yeah,
So
that's-
how did that change over? First, he wasn't going to do it.
What do you mean?
That Wallace told me that Wallace Training was not doing them
We
anymore.
couldn't find him. We
You
couldn't
couldn't
locate him.
find
We
him. That's a little different than not doing them.
Well, he speaks broken English, so
May
we
not have-
panicked when he didn't return a call, but he's a firefighter from,
Yeah.
I believe, this area.
Well, because Wallace had taken a picture of his address, did he, and his phone number, so.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Different
impressive.
number
He's got a
now.
lot of.
Now it's different now.
Yeah.
And we
Okay.
both panicked because we all said, what are we gonna do from here forward? But we also found.
So he is in business. He did
Yes.
not, so the communication issue between you and I was, it's not that he wasn't doing, it's just you couldn't find him. Because I totally took it as.
Well, the
he was
credentials on
choosing not
Mr.
to do it.
Yeah, the photo I took it is
Yeah.
old number.
Yeah,
The credentials on Mr. Wallace's card is, because I did happen to get his card, it says Wallace Training Associates, Michael Wallace. I just have not been able to speak to him directly, and as I said,
sounds like you might have the wrong number.
He leaves a message, you leave a message and
Yeah,
he
yeah.
returns it like 2-3 days.
All right, so, well,
me
that's
see.
good to know that
Yeah.
he didn't leave the business, because we do need people to train.
Is this the same number?
Yeah, it was one we heard about out in Western Mass, but we were concerned that what are you folks going to do if,
yep,
It's
it's on
only
top of
once
the
a month?
invoice.
Yeah.
It's on top of the invoice as well. I mean, maybe there was a miscommunication. I can only tell you that I am going to plan on having him send us a course syllabus of what he's doing and just get clarification for it, as far as it will help us with the board.
and
Because-
it's not anything against you, it's just that when
Oh, I
the
understand.
Quincy Skin Course had the course running, they had
18 years.
on their website, they listed what they taught. When you go to the Wallace website, there's no
But I think
information.
Nathan's the one who got it approved with
Yeah.
the other
Yeah.
business, so, but it's good to get updated syllabuses and things.
Well, and I did-
And
and I
then find
think
out
that-
why these discrepancies in the hours, why
Yeah.
don't put hours you didn't teach, that's not a,
No, it's not, it's that, there is some discrepancies, and it makes one think that it's a long day, but where we already did accept the Wallace for another situation, and you have had a good track record since you were the first one the board gave the license to, so there's that comfort zone that we have there, and based on maybe languages, but I think that we do need to clarify, and I will definitely be speaking with Mr. Wallace, the Training Associates, to find out.
If I could say, he does advertise as a group, so being a group, maybe it's the hours take longer having it.
Could be.
Yeah. And honestly, my questions are not to
No.
question the
I
validity of the
totally
training.
understand. Totally.
okay.
It just raised, when you look at it,
Yeah.
the way we look at it now, it has questions that come up, and, you know, if he's doing groups, sometimes I do know that I do trainings and I always try to make sure we have the correct hours that are there, but like I said, until we speak to Mr. Wallace, or Michael Wallace of Wallace Training Associates, because as a point of fact for the board, we need to make sure that, and we've already approved it, that the courses, like I said, the Quincy course, by default, it had been an accepted standard amongst the tattoo artists and everything. So it was kind of a no-brainer. But now, where they're no longer doing it, it's kind of funny that someone hasn't picked up the mantle on that, because you need more
Some
than
of the
one.
nurses are talking about it. I hear Sarah said they're talking, because it was a good thing.
Well,
They need it. I'd like to know what Quincy's doing.
It's a very,
Yeah, where
very
are they
busy
going?
trade.
Yeah.
Well, the funny thing is, it's like, even if you have one person that's doing it, he's not going to be able to service
No.
all the potential people that need the training. So it's, like I said, this is just a new dilemma or a wrinkle I feel that has impacted us, but I personally, based on if we can get clarification, I don't have any issues with where we're heading right now. And if that's, so your belief is that you couldn't get a hold of him and you just gave a misstatement to Susan about that he wasn't in business anymore, correct? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah,
My
that's fine.
wife actually ended up contacting him.
Well, that's great, and like I said, we have a business card, got a call out, we'll hopefully be hearing from him, and then I know that I would definitely want to speak with him just to get clarity and, you know, as a point of reference for us.
And Todd, so you are the trainer, so you know you need to oversee him, you need to sign, so I have something to come and look at to make sure that he's doing his hours and all that, okay? Good.
And you're comfortable, Wallace, with all the procedures and protocols that Route 38 Tattoo has, because,
I actually hired him 6 months ago for Boston Street to see how he worked out down there, which did a great job. That's why I moved him. I kind of feel comfortable lately because of with this trade, I mean, I suppose it's like apprenticing with carpenters and everything. Once they have the license, they move on. They open their own business,
Yeah.
they do what they do. And unfortunately, it happens. But what I've been doing lately is, well, with him at least, and one other person, but yeah, I have no time for him up there, there's too many now. I send them down to Boston Street, see how they work out down there. And if they don't work out, and I don't like how they work out, they don't come up here.
That's a better idea, yeah.
Yeah.
Vet him down there.
So tonight,
Test them down.
so Wallace, tonight was more, we weren't trying to approve your training or anything, it was just more just a chance for both sides to meet one another, and usually we ask a couple of questions, but I think we've gone through this process enough now that, and it's, the apprentice program is established, that we know that you'll be the sponsor
what's
of
the
that.
what's the length of time you're doing for the apprenticeship? Because from a business standpoint, where people have moved on, and I think we've experienced that, it's probably in your interest as well, where you're making these investments in these people to
We give him
protect.
that, we put it as 6 months, but if, we would do another 6 months after that, if
Sure.
he doesn't make the hours, or if there's additional training that needs.
No, I
you
know ours were at 6 months.
So far, we haven't had to go quite anything beyond that, but of course, the trainer, if the trainer doesn't recommend, you know, I mean, it would be hard for them to get the license if the person who trained them wouldn't think.
Mm-hmm.
So when it comes to license time, if there's somebody who says,
hope-
no,
I
we're,
hope they wouldn't be able to if the trainer's.
right,
Okay.
yeah, that's what I'm saying, I don't think we would support that. Hasn't happened yet, so. I just have to return this to you, this is your original, please, I didn't want to forget.
Okay, so any board members have any questions? I do not.
And yeah.
So, I guess welcome for coming tonight, and good luck with your apprenticeship here.
Thank you.
Lisa will process that and send it to you tomorrow.
Okay.
This was, okay?
And again, I really commend you in having the trainer come down, and I think that's a great model. You,
Thank you. Thanks. Thank you, everyone.
well, have a good night.
Thank you very much, good luck.
Okay. Those are your rates, man. Okay, moving on to old business. We have a show cause hearing for Cottage Place, 1147 Main Street. Board of Health ordered tie-in to municipal sewer and properly abandon the on-site septic system due to the system being undersized for the current flow rates per Mass DEP 310, CMR 15.000. The sewer tie-in will also succeed in the cessation of chemicals from various business sources from continuing to contaminate the groundwater via the septic leaching areas. And as I'm looking at my vice chair,
I'm going to excuse myself.
Okay.
And please note the record. Thank you.
yep, Mr. Scarano has stepped away from the table for this. He's recusing himself from this discussion. So you know the process. I'll have the director do the intro, but just for the record, if you want to state your name and address, please.
Absolutely. Ryan Severance. I'm here on behalf of the Board of Managers of the Cottage Place condominium, 100 State Street, Boston, Massachusetts.
Okay, you can actually pull the microphone toward you, so you don't have to
Oh, yeah.
keep leaning forward.
Helpful.
Some are fixed.
Thank you.
I have an easier time seeing that than you do.
I thought it might move, but I didn't want to try.
Okay. So, Director?
Good evening. Thank you for coming. I know we got a late letter for request for continuance, but unfortunately, we had already posted, so
No
we had to
problem.
continue. At the last Board of Health meeting, this is about 1147 Main Street in order to tie into sewer. And last meeting, it was determined that no extensions or changes to the order would happen. However, I was directed to contact DEP to find out what we should do, to be honest, because we were kind of at a standstill. We didn't want to do something beyond what they would recommend, so we didn't want to take an action right at that moment. But we also were concerned about whether or not they would instantly tell us to cease and desist this use. There are a couple of uses that are strictly prohibited to septic systems who, through the years, and this is not an unusual thing, I gather from DEP, that time has gone by, regulation, enforcement is, comes and, people change and go over, and applications come and rules change, and sometimes opportunities bring new things to light, and this opportunity was a new owner was coming into this location, and there was question about the septic system, and that new owner contacted me, which prompted me to start to look at the actual makeup of what it was designed for, what was actually built. I looked at the past notes, the past Title V inspections, and those types of things. So that's how we got here. It wasn't something that there was no breakout on the street or no anything like that. It was purely from a purchase standpoint, a business standpoint, how it started. However, once you identify these things, you do need to move forward. And that's why I did the order letter. The hearing actually was on their request. They wanted a hearing to ask for time. That did not happen. So I made the call to DEP. Like I said, she said this does, I spoke to Claire Golden, who is a specialist there, and she said that it's not uncommon, this has happened, that DEP does not encourage or require, I should say, they don't require us to shut businesses down, which was good. We were a little concerned about that. As long as the person or company or organization is willing to enter into some type of agreement, then we could come up with, arrangements for that. But however, she also wanted me to find out not only what was going in the system, but what the system was designed for. I did so. I basically took our information as much as I could and found that the current use, the water that based on calculations that I worked through with her, the current use exceeds what was shown on a couple of the Title V's and an as-built. So using that, so now we have two issues. One is the type of chemicals and things that were going in there that were expressly prohibited, and that it was also design-wise going over the design. So in that case, that can't happen without, or shouldn't happen without approval. And it wouldn't have happened. That probably would have tied into sewer. I don't know when sewer came by, but in the past decade, maybe? Is it 10 years ago, 15 years ago?
No, it's
Less?
last 20.
It's less, okay, so, yeah, so as we said, so then what I did is I responded by then putting this letter together for the show cause hearing. So that's where we are here now, to determine, because as of, until yesterday, I had not received any documentation or questions, no inquiries, no engineers came in looking at the files, nothing. So I knew we were coming up to this time again. So basically put the facts down. They're all in here. They are just what they are in the letter that was sent out. And we're here tonight to discuss whether or not the board would want to make any changes or take any actions. Now, since this Monday, there has been a letter and a communication with a local installer. I reached out to Mr. Merrill, who's with the Merrill and McGeary, and he responded to me. I said, is there anything going on? And he responded and said, why, yes, we've reached out to Mr. Bradley, and he's going to be getting us an estimate. So I went right ahead and reached out to Mr. Bradley and said, would you like some information? And he said, yes. And so he came down yesterday, and I provided him with the as-built, provided him with the sewer tie-in information, and he was going to go out and, try and work up an estimate, which usually only takes a day or two. It doesn't, in this system, what I've also found out by my own research is that this system, although the pits, the leaching areas are very close to 38, the actual tie-in is literally, 20, 30, 40 feet off to the side of the building, and is so easy to tie in. They left a gravity stub, so literally we'd have to just disconnect, put a line down there, put in there. So of course, before you have to do that, you have to apply for the permit. The town has to do all their surveys, that type of thing. But the actual tie-in is not a difficult thing. There's two parts to a tie-in. One is to actually do the tie-in. The second is actually to abandon all those pits. Those have to be done because the concrete eventually will erode, and it could be a sinkhole. It doesn't happen right away. Our most important thing is getting that sewer tie-in. So I did ask Mr. Bradley if he had time in his schedule, and he said if he had a proposal signed, he absolutely could to do it fairly quickly. I told him what our deadline was additional 60 days. He said that he sees no problem with that, assuming he got an approved signed agreement to move forward. And I told him that we would allow him, if he needed to separate those two items, that we could work with him on that. So that was with that. Then I got a letter, which I just sent to you yesterday. I got it yesterday afternoon, sorry, asking for a continuance or just to cancel this meeting tonight, which we could not do since it was already posted. So that's where we are now. I don't know where we want to go from here.
So let me
Did we
start.
actually open the hearing? Did we not open? Now that I should have done that before. No, now you can open the hearing. How's that?
Yeah, so I guess,
So why don't
yeah, so I guess if someone would like to make a motion to open the public portion of the show cause hearing?
I'll make a motion to open the public portion to show cause hearing.
Okay,
Probably okay to give background ahead of time.
yeah. Second. Okay, so Charlie seconded. So the motion's been put forth and second to open the public portion of the show cause hearing. All those in favor signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Motion carries unanimously 4-0. Okay. So with that,
Long, short, and
right, and we're trying to keep this as
Yeah.
brief and to the point as possible. So in the letter that was dated July 17th, let me back up for a sec. In the letter that Director Sawyer had sent to your office back in July 5th, for us, sentence was, if you propose to engage in enforceable agreement with the Board of Health, you may submit a proposal at any time prior to the date of this hearing. So in your letter that we received yesterday, or Department received yesterday, the very first page, there is a sentence which I'm just going to read. Firstly, the trustees by this letter agreed to comply with the board's order. So I just wanted to verify with you, our interpretation of that statement is that would then be construed as an enforceable agreement?
The board will tie in to the town sewer.
Okay.
That is what that means. That is what you wanted from me when I was here at the last meeting, and that was what I could not tell you. The board has now had enough time to review things and engage the services of Mark Bradley of Bradley Company, and they're going to tie in.
Okay, no, I just wanted to clarify because there was a lot of other verbiage in the letter, but I just want to make sure that we were looking for just a simple agreement letter and that
Well, so we
is-
don't have a signed contract with
Right.
Mr. Bradley.
Right.
They're not to
So
that point yet.
that's a point that, you know, the reason why the letter is the way that it is because we don't have a signed contract with Mr. Bradley.
Right, understood.
We don't have a plan to tie in 30 days, but we are actively working on that.
Yep.
And unfortunately, I spoke a little bit about this when I was here the last time, and it is also in the letter, but we can't just do it in 30 days because we have a bunch of unit owners here that need to be informed that they will be specially assessed, and then that needs to be collected. Once that is collected, in the process, while that's going on, we will work on the plans with Mark Bradley. We will get those plans. We will be ready to go. As soon as the money is collected, we'll be tied in. It's that simple.
Okay, no, we just wanted to make sure that we were not misconstruing that statement.
Sure,
That-
no, I
Okay.
understood.
What's your time frame?
We are gonna try to get it done within the 120 days, by
That's
mid-September.
That's unacceptable.
Okay, well, we were given 120 days. We're acting now in good faith to
From May,
comply with the 120-day
From May, 120.
from May.
From May's 120.
From May.
Yeah,
Yep,
May
middle of
to September
September.
20 is 120.
Yep,
Okay, then, I was aware that it was a May thing, but with 120 days.
Yes.
My question would be, we have a person that wants to be in the business, wants to start a business in the facility, correct? I forget, Ms. Bryce, or,
Yes.
okay, so she technically can't start her business. I'm just bringing up all the variables that I see.
right.
She can't start her business at this time. On top of that, I'm looking at we're contaminating. I'm mostly concerned just about what is happening to the
Sure.
aquifer and the public.
Sure.
That is my mission, and my reason why I'm on the board is to protect the public health. We've had a situation that's been going on for a number of years for whatever reason, and I think that it would behoove them to get a great date. I'm surprised that with all this time's gone on, a contract hasn't been signed with Mr. Bradley at this time.
Again, the reason why I came before the board the last time was because the board of managers of the condominium was still, the board of managers was not aware that this was the trustees, we'll call them trustees.
Okay, may I just, you'll have to excuse the question, but I deal with I work regularly with a lot of attorneys that work in your area zip code and everything, and one thing that has confused me about it, I only see 2 trustees.
Sure.
And I'm kind of finding out that that's problematic, because I've been a trustee on condominium boards and dealt with everything. I see there's a potential for delays, because I believe there's 30 units here, and I would think that they would want an odd number. I'm surprised that no one brought it up before, an odd number of people to vote either yay or nay.
I'm sure they have bylaws, and it is.
Well, I would assume that there's bylaws
So
that they do it.
there are,
We don't have those.
No, we don't, and I don't think it's, it's germane to what we need to do, but I just see that there's delays, because right now we have 2, they've,
so my firm represents about 400 condominiums in the general area. And I would tell you that the less trustees you have, the better.
I
They're
agree,
better
but
able to
wouldn't you
approve.
have an odd number?
Oh,
usually?
sure.
Well-
But in this situation, they do not have an odd number.
Okay, so I agree, 100%, the less trustees, the better,
The
so.
less trustees, the easier they have to agree. The
I-
concern is not getting the current 2 trustees to agree with each other or to agree to tie in. There was some discussion at the last meeting about the fact that it is very well true that one of the trustees is the dentist and one of the trustees is the owner of the salon. The trustees are not against tying in, despite the fact that their businesses, they've been informed that their businesses are, not allowed to be tied into septic. They just needed time. You spoke of the 30 unit owners. The importance in condominium governance and in condominium governing structures is that unit owners entrust their trustees to be able to make informed decisions
Absolutely.
about things.
Absolutely.
So when a town comes to them, when anyone comes to them with some type of an issue or a problem. You know, Cottage Place condominium has been humming along. There haven't been any issues. And now we have this issue, and everything else that has been dealt with gets put off. They have to figure out what's going on here. They're not septic experts. I think I said some of this the last time.
You may have,
And I understand, totally. I'm happy to, but I just mean that,
what has been done in the last 30 days from when the incident, I mean, the way I'm looking at it is we've lost 30 days. I mean,
what has been done in the last 30 days, when I came in here the last time I asked for an extension, it was not given to me. I went back to the board, I worked with the board and the property manager. The board and the property manager have contacted the DEP, they've spoken to them, looking at.
It's not relevant, but it did just happen this week that he contacted Mr. Bradley. The fact is, they're saying the trustees agree to comply to the board's order.
no, we're okay. I'm
So we
okay
still
with
have
that.
the 120, we still have that in place.
We're still within
We're
the
not
100.
changing that.
But it sounds as
I
if
think the
my-
word try might have been the problem. You know, I just.
the other members, the other
We
owners.
know that Mr. Bradley's going to be available, and
But they
we
don't
know
have a
that there's going to be a
contract.
meeting that they're going to have on Monday as a group, and they were going, I'm sure.
Wouldn't they have had that from, my question is the special, of just being
Can't go
involved with
backwards.
condos?
Yeah. Do I wish?
Wouldn't
Yeah.
the special wouldn't they have had the meeting for the special assessment that came up quickly?
The fear is there's a lack of sense of urgency around this, on this
That's
side
what
of
we're
the
concerned.
table.
I understand, that was your
That's
fear
just-
last time.
It's a, yeah.
I get it,
And,
but
and with Mr. Bradley, in fact, has not even contacted the board. The board contacted him. It's like, we're trying to push this.
We're trying to help.
okay,
I'm doing the research.
But
I'm
even,
finding out
even
exactly.
even as the Board of Trustees, the Board of Trustees can't say to Mr. Bradley, you've got to go and contact the Board of
No,
Health
but
right away.
Meaning that I was told by Mr. Merrill on Monday, I, waited, figured he'd call or whatever, and then I got him the documents, that type of thing. It just happened on Monday. What they're suggesting is it would have been nice if it were 2 weeks ago and not on Monday.
But again, the reason why I
So,
was here
just a
last
phone
time.
call.
Yeah.
Just a phone call, that's
The reason why I was here last time was to explain that even though I recognize that the board was not satisfied with that,
Right.
that the trustees needed some time.
And you were in the process of contacting some people.
Yep, we've
in the
moved
middle of the
on.
state, and-
You and I talked extensively about people and we've moved on. We've contacted Mr. Bradley.
Can we
Right, so-
focus on?
So the
Well,
bottom
what's
line
happened
is,
has happened, and what we're focused on is
What next?
successful and timely completion
Sure.
of sewer tie-in.
Understood?
And I think to that point, I think I speak for the board in this, I think we still feel with member of the profession here, that there's still plenty of time for the sewer tie-in to occur in the time remaining in the 120-day window, or by September 20th or so. So
We need a performance calendar to support what we're talking about
Right.
here, because right now, all we have is a phone call that says that Mr. Bradley's interested in doing this.
Right,
and no
and
signed contract.
my biggest,
No notification to the adjacent condominium owners.
So, and, yeah, and the other, this unit, this complex is supposed to have done Title V's every 3 years. It's a combined use complex. There hasn't been one done there since when, 2014 or something?
Yeah, and there was a big gap.
So there's a violation, we're looking.
There's
at
different
another-
kinds of.
It's a different type of, but there is another, reason to get moving on this. And
Like,
I-
why waste your time to do another Title V?
Right, you
could
don't
ask
want to
her do
waste
that. It's
time,
not a-
you don't want to
not
waste money, we just want to make it,
wanna-
we just want to get this thing moving.
And that's,
And we want something we can stick a fork in. and
that's
say,
why I'm here
We-
tonight.
I think they're looking for the fact that, as if a truck fell in that tank right there today, it just fell in, and it was, how would it get fixed? Somebody would just do it, and then they would assess. So you have a truck on top and
But
falling in your septic system.
I-
That's what it is.
sure,
You have an order
sure,
from the
but-
Board of Health. So
but that isn't-
If you would just show that sense of urgency, seriously,
That-
just
that-
show it.
That isn't
That's all it
how,
is. It's a truck. It's in your septic system. It's called the Board of Health.
but there isn't a truck.
It is.
And I can't tell the Board of Trustees to
Yeah.
go to the unit owners and say, there's a truck in our septic system.
It's
I
called the Board of
can,
Health.
I can, however, go to the trustees, which we've already done, and say, have a meeting, inform the unit owners that there will be a special assessment.
Did you
collect
give
it.
that, did you
meeting-
inform them that
the meeting-
30 days ago? So
The
they
meeting
could
is
have
on
had a meeting
Monday.
already?
Yeah,
Meeting's Monday.
The meeting is on Monday. The meeting of the unit owners is
And
on Monday.
Monday, this coming Monday?
This coming Monday.
They should
The
have,
meeting
they
is on
should have
Monday.
a proposal. Mr. Bradley said they should have one.
And we have confidence that we're going to have this thing resolved by the 120 days.
That is what we are working towards. You gave
That's-
us,
that's
you gave,
No,
you
you
gave us.
So we're confident that it can be
okay.
done and
I'm
done in
good.
that
You
timeframe.
gave us the 120-day deadline. That is what we have been working in. That's.
Which I was against, but I am now for.
I understand.
And-
I remember that from the last meeting.
And just to be clear, for the 120 days, what we're looking for at a minimum is that the sewer tie-in is complete.
By the
All the
120 days.
backfilling
Sure.
of the other underground structures can be done after the fact. We're not requiring everything to be done by
Sure.
then, just the important thing, getting the tie-in
The,
done.
the wholehearted intent of the Board of Trustees is to have that done, the sewers tied in, by the middle of September. That's the 120-day deadline.
That's the message.
And my dilemma as chair is that we have only one more Board of Health meeting until the 120-day period ends. So I believe that our September meeting falls, it's either right,
Yeah,
well,
that's right.
even if our meeting is the day
Anyway, we do
before,
have an August
it's a moot
meeting, though,
point.
so
So
we could continue, yeah.
the board is running out of time for us to be able to impose any conditions or penalties if no progress has been made. So that's why we're very
We can
concerned that some progress be shown very quickly. And I think from that standpoint, again, where we've had to initiate the contact with the proposed person doing the tie-in, that we really, and the request is nothing we haven't done any other time, and that is that we just state that within a period of time, that which we'll talk about once we close the public portion, that we want to have the contract signed, and then within X number of days of contract signed, we want to have a proposed schedule submitted by the contractor.
If you do want such a thing, I did speak with town council, and they did say that the councils could work something out, that our council could contact them, if you want such an agreement, if you think we need that between us, or if you're just looking for that between them, between the contractor. I'm not sure I understand what you want.
Just a finish date, wouldn't it be?
Yeah,
what, by that
just
time, whatever the date is
something that
completed.
gives a little bit of teeth,
Okay,
because
so we don't need
there's
anything
been
else.
lack of apparent action, and,
The perception is not like it's urgent.
right.
Okay, do you want to open up to any other conversation, or? Well, we did receive that letter, you have mentioned it, it did come up. I don't know if it.
No, I think that's something can be more
have- do they have-
administrative.
They have a right to do that, we have an open hearing for anyone who wants to speak? Or not?
I mean, if anyone, yeah, I mean, it is a show cause hearing, it is a public hearing, so if anyone is here in the audience that would like to come up to the podium, which did we put a sign-up sheet there?
Not up there, just the one down.
And the comments would be simply
Yeah.
directly related to completion of tie-in by September 20th.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name's Harry Locatilia. I'm here on behalf of Katie Bruce.
If you just state your address, please.
I live at 144 Jewett Street. I actually live in Georgetown. I'm an out-of-towner. I
Okay.
hope I'm allowed to speak.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
It's not a town meeting.
I'm just here, and you seem to be limiting it to only the time frame for the tie-in. Related to that, I don't know if you're familiar, I believe Susan
I
managed to get the
disseminated your
letter out.
letter, and they're
from
aware.
my-
It's been reviewed.
If you're not familiar with it.
So, yeah, you can explain who you are related
Yes.
to.
I'm related to Katie Bruce. Katie Bruce is in the position right now where she's been renting one of the condo units since April. She cannot get a building permit at this point in time. The tie-in date, it sounds like they're making reasonable efforts to meet the 120-day time limit. But at this point, if you have a commitment, and I know this really doesn't have to do directly with the tie-in date, my apologies for that, but we just need to know, Katie needs to know at this point, if and when things are going to happen. The 120 days, we understand that date. The question is, at this point, now that you've made the commitment, so to speak, the promise has been made, will the Board of Health allow the building department to issue a building permit for number 203? That's the bottom line. We need to know this now because at this point, Katie will be out of business and won't be able to function.
Right, so I had talked with the director about this, and this is going to be more handled as an administrative item between you and the director. But I did provide my input into how we can do that, which is best as an offline discussion, since that's indirectly related to the issue at hand. But yeah, ultimately, we're hoping that everything can be successfully concluded sewer tie-in wise within the 120-day timeframe. That's all that I can really say in this, because we can't offer assurances for anything else, but the director's more than willing to talk with you after the meeting just about what she administratively is able to do.
I understand. Thank you. Could I just ask a general information question? I heard a comment being made that certain businesses, the dentistry, hairdressing, they aren't allowed for the tie-in. Did I mishear that? The chemicals?
Yeah, in septic systems, those types of uses are prohibited to go directly in the system, that if it had been caught before, they would have installed a holding tank for their
tight tank?
specific. Yeah, for their
tight tank.
specific, items. But now that sewer's available, that's not really a viable option. So if years ago, that's what would have been a tight tank.
My concern is that once the tie-in is done, hairdressing salons won't be allowed, an allowed use.
No, they'll be on sewer then.
They will be on sewer, so it'll be fine. I'll go to the
Once the
public
sewer-
treatment
once the
facility.
septic- Correct.
Excellent.
And since you asked the question, and it might be a good point of education for everyone about why is it such a big deal if they've been tying into septic for all these years with the list of prohibited chemicals the DEP has on their website about chemicals that should not be discharged into septic systems. What does the sewer have to do with this? And it's simply that when these chemicals go into the drainage, they exit the building, they go into a septic tank, which is simply meant to hold the water so it can then slowly dissipate out into the bedding layer of sand around, and you can correct me if I'm misspeaking, but does not contain the chemicals from moving. That's why it goes into the sewer, where then it can go through a water treatment plant and be properly remediated.
The solution to pollution is dilution.
Yeah.
I actually have a wastewater treatment license, so I completely understand. Thank you for that.
And I knew you probably would, but there are a lot of people hopefully watching or will watch this on YouTube.
Absolutely.
And I just want everyone to be a bit more educated about why is it such a big deal? Because I don't want people thinking we're being harsh. There is a good reason why we're concerned, to your point about public health aspects. So
We don't hate
that's what we're
septic
trying to prevent.
systems, we
Oh,
just
if-
hate chemicals.
Right.
If the
Septic
pipe's
Just want
going
people
by,
to do things the
tie in.
right way, and
Absolutely.
unfortunately, sometimes things haven't been identified, but when they're identified, there's no going back. It's like, I did what I knew how to do when I knew it, and when I knew better, I did it better. I mean, Maya Angelou, she had a comment, but I'm not doing it justice, but once you know how to do it better, you do it better.
Could I just ask opinion-wise, and I know it's
Sure
ministerial.
It's not something for after? No.
Yeah, well, maybe it is. I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to.
You can ask and we can always,
can say no.
Absolutely. I'm just trying to, on behalf of my niece, she's wondering if she will be able to open her business before the tie-in is actually occurred.
You'll have to have that, that's an administrative discussion you can have with.
May I ask a question, since you do have a wastewater license and you do have a niece and you are familiar with this stuff? I don't know about you and your business, but I know when I have someone that I know is doing something and I have experience about something, I would bring it to their attention. Hey, man, you're going to be doing this. Have you checked into this? Because if you told me you have a wastewater license, so you know about tight tanks,
Maybe they
Why-
weren't talking about that before.
did you not, I mean, unless you didn't talk a lot about it with her, my question is, wouldn't you have said to her, geez, does this place have a tight tank, or does it not have a tight tank, or whatever? Because when someone, I guess she bought the place in April?
She didn't buy it, she's renting. She's
She
currently renting it.
So
And
my question to you is, why, since you do have this
Yeah.
experience, is like, why wasn't it?
Actually, the question never even entered my mind because the place was actually previously being used as a barber shop. So the
Always good to ask.
cosmetology uses are very,
Well,
very
you know,
similar.
I guess it's just me when I do something, and other people that I've dealt with when they go into businesses, you kind of think about what your liabilities are in any kind of business, and you kind of look, what do I need to mitigate, and has it been mitigated already in my particular location, whether I bought it or I rented it or not? Because it's like, for example, and I'll just say, you can buy a house, if you don't know where the lot lines are,
Get a
and you're not
surveyor.
sure, and things happen afterwards, you're kind of stuck, and you have to correct them, and sometimes immediately. So I'm just saying that, it's probably best to talk with the director about what's going to be possible, because right now our basic concern is making sure that this facility is compliant.
I have
Absolutely.
confidence that they're going to come through with this in a timely manner.
I do, yeah.
I actually have a good feeling as well.
Yeah, I think.
And honestly, if we were concerned, we have a whole bunch of remedies that we could apply or penalties, and we've not even talked about that tonight.
And thank you for taking up the cause and doing what you're doing, folks. I sit on my planning board, so I know the plight of the volunteer, the thankless plight of the volunteer.
Well, thank you for
Thank you so
stepping
much.
forward
Thank
tonight.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Anyone else in the audience wishing to step forward? Okay. So I think at this point, we're ready to close the public portion of the show cause hearing. So someone like to make a motion?
I will make a motion to close the public part.
I will second it.
Okay. So motion's been put forth and seconded to close the public portion of the show cause hearing. All those in favor signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Motion carries unanimously 4-0. So you're welcome to take a seat in the audience. And Maria, you'll get used to this as we do the public hearings. It becomes a convoluted process and
We're still learning, no worries, always learning.
yeah. There's a lot of opening and closing of things. So,
You're welcome to
yeah,
stay.
you're welcome to stay in the room.
You just.
Stay in the
We
room.
just in the
Yeah.
audience, seat in the audience, sorry.
The tendency is
You guys can stay in the room.
people stay seated at the table when,
No, we just, this is the table, that's.
yeah.
If we're
just the
going to
table.
talk about you, you probably want to hear.
Well, I was kind of wondering, but I just wanted to do what you wanted
Can
me
he
to
come in
do.
yet? Can Bob come in yet? Or can he sit?
No, we're still,
no,
this is
we-
deliberation.
Deliberation.
You have to stay out, Bob. The other-
You.
You're not gonna take any action anyway,
Yeah. So,
unless you're gonna close it totally and just do that.
no, I think we'll,
Whatever you want.
yeah. No, direct this, we had conversation earlier. So it's a show cause hearing that we initiated, so I'd like to know that we can continue this hearing, so that if we need to bring anything up under this, we can at our next meeting.
So you need a motion to continue?
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to continue the show cause.
I will second that
Okay,
motion.
so motion's been put forth and second to continue tonight's show cause hearing to our next meeting. All those in favor signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Motion carries unanimously. Okay.
So we have a contractor. We don't have a contract yet.
Don't have a,
And we don't have a performance calendar
Exactly.
yet. Outside of the fact that we have an end date. We do have a date that it was going to be done by the.
D-Day.
By the 120 days.
Was it September 20th?
I don't, Is it that
It's-
late?
Is
Yeah.
that what the date was?
Yeah, it's roughly
Somewhere around
September
there.
20th, give or take
We
a
were
day or
talking
so.
about August, by the end of August, weren't we? I didn't.
No, it's more that our next meeting
Oh, okay, all right.
is in August, so
mean, I would pref-
going beyond that, we don't have much,
They're going to get it done as soon as possible.
Right. I
because
would prefer things
They
be
have a
done
tenant
as-
that's waiting,
We're-
it's
We
contingent.
may not have any hearing if it's all done, who knows?
Right.
Correct. Yes, if it's
Never know.
possible. I would just prefer things, I hate to see contamination
Yep.
go on. I prefer it done sooner than later, but based on the guidelines and based on the dates of the letter, that would be fine. And also based on, it seems like the businesses that you folks have, anybody, hairdressing, sounds like there's a dentist that's involved there too.
ready to go.
August, September is a busy time, so if there's any delays or anything, that seems to me that would impact business greatly. So it would be in people's best interest to kind of expedite things.
so I think there are really three things that I look for that we want to, I guess, request of the applicant, and that first is that, and I'll talk about them, then we can talk about timeframes, is that we need to know that we see a signed contract and that we have the proposed schedule from the contractor so we know when they're going to begin the work and when they plan on completing the sewer tie-in.
I believe the condo association has a meeting on the 22nd,
Yes.
so we should
And will
know.
we find out the I mean, what potential dilemmas could arise if people don't want to go for the special assessment, or they,
If they're good, if they have any problems, they'll have to come to ask for whatever it is they ask for. So we can't assume there'll be any problems, so,
Right. And
I hope, yeah.
yeah.
so, and I realize that contract cannot be signed with the contractor until after they've had the meeting and they get the
Okay.
vote. That's the thing, I wasn't putting any timeframes is because
They haven't had the meeting yet.
they haven't had the meeting, but I think we need to put some requirements in so we know that things actually start moving in the direction
What are we
we
doing?
need.
In a perfect world,
You just continue.
No, I think we're going to continue it, but I would just ask, I'll just make a plain ask that it, and I think you would have done it anyways, that as soon as there is a signed contract with Mr. Bradley, I mean, directly be involved one way or the other, but we just want to make sure that
100%.
there's no delay in getting her the signed contract.
Signed contract with Mr. Bradley, we will contact you, 100%.
does the board feel, I mean, since it's going to be a special assessment, it sounds like there was not enough reserve in the,
Unfortunately, the condominium doesn't have much of anything to do with it, so.
That's
so
not
in your
about,
opinion, it's a well-run condominium
Yeah,
association?
our discussions are just
I'm sorry,
that's not,
That's all right.
this side of the table.
I apologize, yeah.
that's none of our doing
No, I'm
anyway.
just saying, so.
Right.
No.
We've already
So-
offered them a way to perform this in segments, which we need to talk about as well. I mean, whether we do it all at once or require the abandonment at the same time is the
Well, I
connection.
think it all depends what his.
It depends
his
what-
bi- His
I think
proposal is.
what I'm saying is, I think the only option that they have is that we're under we have a document that states that they are going to do it. And our expectation is, or our commitment was from the attorney that they're going to do it within that 120-day lead time. So we have an end date. The only question there in between there is that when do they perform, when they do a full job, meaning the abandonment of all those components? There's 5, I think. There's 5 tanks in the ground that need to be abandoned as part of the full,
Wait to see what the proposal is. He may want to do it all at once, who knows? you know?
okay. I
Right?
just,
No, I mean.
that's the only thing I'm looking
If
to
they
be
need
different.
if they need an
not-
extension to that one piece, they
Yeah.
can ask for that extension.
Yeah, we can
I think is
handle
what
that
we're saying.
separately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the tie-in would be
Within
no,
20
with no
120.
greater than the 120-day
Right.
limit.
That's the.
So what we could do, if we wanted to, is we could potentially make a motion, we can give the director administrative approval to make that determination. If it comes up in the 120-day period and all they've
Yes.
done is the sewer tie-in, then,
Yeah, don't wait for the next meeting.
right, we can let the director administratively
Yes.
provide that time frame.
Yes.
No, I'm willing based on what we've discussed, no greater than 120 days for the tie-in, and with a reasonable amount of time. And I think we'd have to decide that when the final job would be done. But,
Yeah, are you fine with getting that?
in 2 phases.
Yeah, then that way, because we don't need to stipulate when the final completion needs to be done, but that's something the director could do administratively.
Right, I know, but I mean, and I accept Susan's decisions, but I mean, what's
Yep.
a reasonable timeline? I mean,
We don't have we don't want to have another continuation on something
Correct.
she can handle in her own
It's not a
office.
huge public health issue.
We have faith in the fact that she's going to execute.
No, then that's fine, but I'm saying, just out of curiosity, what would you consider an administrative, like a reasonable time to complete a project?
It would depend basically what the issue was, why you're waiting, if they were proposing to do some paving already, or if they were, if winter was here, or, so I think really I need to talk to the contractor. I mean, he may be ready to, it would be very simple if they were manhole covers, they would just do flowable fill, it would be boom, but now they have to find them and open them up, and then they can do it, so. So it's just a matter of whether or not, what is convenient for that cottage place and time-wise.
And there's different ways of doing that too. They
But
could
the public health,
bore them.
yeah. That's something that has to be done, but that's not the public health issue.
Right, the public health issue will be resolved once the
Immediate.
sewer tie-in is,
Okay, that's fine. I would have assumed that it would have been resolved then too, and also,
It may all be going at once, who knows?
Yeah, no,
and that's totally
fine.
up to them and their
I
schedule.
agree. I'm just, because I feel there's been a lack of urgency with this, that I'm just concerned that we cross Ts and dot Is.
But the sooner they do the one, the longer I'll give them the other.
Well, I'm also thinking that we have a person that is based on what needs to be done from the association that is limiting. I mean, it's not our major concern, but I don't want to add to the contamination that's currently,
Yeah, no, oh, no,
Happening.
no,
that
I
would-
can't do that. Yeah, I won't be able to do that, but I will explain that to him after.
yeah,
Okay.
okay.
So that's why we're encouraging getting the one part done first. So that, because if it was a big problem, then to do them both, and we made them do it at once, this way, we're letting them know we're willing to be reasonable on the more difficult end. And because this one is more important to us, and it's important to the business people, who are, and to the environment.
No, I know this board is trying to be proactive
I think
for
that's good faith we're
businesses.
putting out there.
Yeah,
And-
I agree.
And the other thing, just to clarify too, for the one person, anyone else that may have a rental be in hold because of this,
There's also a purchase of a unit that the person wants to do one of those, want to do a hairdresser as well, so
and
they have.
in order for,
So that's 2 more,
theoretically, in order for you to sign off, there has to be a sewer time, but that's just the sewer time. They
Right.
don't have to have all the other things done.
No, that's
for the sign off.
no, we're just concerned about the public health issue.
Yep,
So-
no, I have my limitations, I can't do.
I think it's simply, if someone will put forth the motion stating that we authorize the director to make administrative decision about date of final completion
For
of,
the second part.
for the second part, which is the decommissioning of the underground structures.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Okay? Motion's been put forth and seconded to allow the director to make administrative determination as to when the second part of the sewer tie-in project needs to be completed by. All those in favor signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Motion carries unanimously 4-0. Okay.
Great, thank you very much. That was,
And that's an effort to try to speed up this whole thing, so, I mean, we don't mind seeing you here, but I'm sure you have better ways to spend Thursday nights.
I appreciate that as well.
Okay. So moving on to, whoa,
We gotta get
discussion. We got to have at least an hour discussion.
oh, no,
No, I need to order my dinner before 7. What time is the cafe?
7:09.
Oh, I've been very busy, as you know, if you want to know my.
Can Bob come back in now?
Yeah.
Yes, he can. Ask
Thank
him.
you.
Desmond, thank you, Ryan. Thank you.
Have a good night.
Hopefully, maybe we won't see each other again, this will all be resolved.
We're not taking it the wrong way either.
We don't expect to see you here.
I'm not expecting to see him again, Ryan.
Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So we're waiting for Bob to come in. One quick thing I wanted to mention, which I thought was very good today, is that the town utilized the Code Red system to put out a reverse
I saw
911
that.
talking about the
Heat.
heat, well, it's a heat emergency, but the high heat and humidity and combined heat index that's expected to be here on Saturday, and what residents can do to best keep themselves in a safe environment, and whom to contact if there is a need for a, I hate to say this, a cooling shelter, because we've always done this in the winter when there's been loss of power in a warming center. So I was very glad to see the Code Red used for that today. And if someone who's watching or watches on YouTube did not get that Code Red, you are able to sign up for Code Red at the Tewksbury Police website. And you can also go to the Code Red if you're a current subscriber and change the ways that you're notified. So you're not getting it in everything that you can get a call on, because some people don't like getting notified.
Oh, so you
like
can
every-
choose, yeah.
You can choose. And what priority
We're
level
afraid
calls.
of getting a beep beep all the time,
Yeah.
so, yeah. So that's good.
Because we have 4 cell phones go off in our house at the same time, and our house phones. So when we get 5 calls out once, we know exactly what it is without having to look at caller ID. But we're thankful for that service.
Yes, no, absolutely.
Okay.
It's like we lost.
Check on your neighbors and the elderly this weekend,
Oh,
please.
please do, yeah.
And check on my father if
And
you're
your
in the
animals.
neighborhood, because I won't be around.
Of course, your animals as well.
The animals.
Making sure they have enough water and shelter, and did we want to wait for Robert, or no? There's not a lot. Maybe he left.
He left.
Bob is not feeling well, he's leaving for the evening.
Okay, there you go. Well, that's good that you got the text. Okay, so Bob is
Good, now we can
out
tell
of the
lawyer
building.
jokes. There's no lawyer in the house.
That is out of the building. Busy with these things. I haven't spent a lot of time making plans on what else I might want to talk about. So, as you know, Shannon and I were in Nashville for a conference, and it was primarily for us. The first part was for the FDA standards on standardizing food inspections and food programs. And it's a very extensive, we are part of it already, and there's 9 parts. And there were people in this meeting, they were from all over the country. There were about 50 or 60 people there. There were people who have been, how long have you been doing it? Oh, 7 years, 5 years. Oh, you pick, there are many different things, whether it be your data collection part, or your actual education part, or your communication with the community part, with your food handlers, or are your regulations up to their level? Certain states and towns have different regulations. You have to work on your regulations. You have to prove each one of these parts to get standardized. So clearly, it's something that you just become part of and work on for. So our next part, we'll just really at some point get together and decide what would be the best first part for us. So we've done 1 out of 9, so that's more than some of many communities. Maybe less than half of the communities in the state of Massachusetts. We're so different, in the rest of the country. We're all cities and towns and not counties, and so it is a different thing. But still, food safety is. We're just trying to do things differently, but yet trying to standardize. So I think that's going to be good for the community. So that's good. And
That's by grant, correct?
yeah, Shannon wrote a grant to the AFTO, American Food. I can't remember what it is. AFTO, AFD, all these acronyms. And it was for $3,000, and it was specifically for us to go to the training.
Is
and then
it true
the
that she
second,
broke her foot square dancing in the
you can fill in the blank.
square?
You can fill in the
Is that
blank,
what you
but
square dance in the
yes, she broke her foot not on active duty, shall we say.
See, now that the board members are all healthy, now the issue's transferred to the department.
So, yeah, no, I'm sure she'll be fine, and we're just getting it done, you know, so.
Did they have any people there for the food safety program from other countries that there were some issues with beverages in the rooms where people were
The Dominican Republic.
were passing away? I mean,
No, no.
just out of curiosity, I didn't think there were.
Not that we know of, no. But it's always good to hear what other states are, you know, how they do things. It's amazing how some of these, we're here, it's just Shannon and I and two other people, and they're like, oh, well, we have, 25 inspectors, and we have, this many educators, and this many, Chicago, people from, Seattle, things like that. So it's not apples to apples, but it's all for the same reason. So just trying to be standardized.
Well, it's nice to dream.
Yeah. And then we stayed for the rest of the conference, which was the National Environmental Health Association, which I'm the treasurer of the local Massachusetts chapter, and that was more than food. That was climate change, air quality, water. There were so many subjects, you didn't know which one to go to. I learned about getting water to the Inuits in Alaska, and things like that, and just meet so many different people. But the keynote speaker was from the UK, and she kept not talking about the Brexit.
Bless you.
She just couldn't. We won't talk about Brexit, but we'll talk about that and how it was affecting their public health system, because how when it ends, all these rules they all have to get adopted. So all of a sudden they have no rules. It's a real nightmare for regulation and that type of thing. So, but she was very dynamic and a good way to start the conference. And we didn't have the perfect conference, but Nashville's a great place. I don't generally go to the nationals. I just stay local, but I used to do that a couple times in my career. Told Shannon, don't get used to that every year. Unless she writes a grant, right? Then she could go, I suppose.
And is more careful.
Yeah, oh yeah. Next year's in New York City. I don't know. We'll see. It's pretty close. So National Night Out, we're going to be participating on August 6th. So that'll be fun. I'm actually going to go this year, I think, but I never go. So we'll see. They say it's a
Go
great
with you.
time.
I'm going to go too.
I'm planning on it.
Remember what date that falls on?
It's always a Tuesday. I think
Okay.
it's the first Tuesday.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, first Tuesday. So that's great. And I've been maybe not sending them to you every week, but the mosquito control report's been coming. I did hear today that they did find 2 mosquito pools of triple E in mosquitoes, not in our area. They're usually in the South Shore area too. So they found 1 pool of West Nile and 2 of triple E. Hopefully it won't. I mean, that's kind of early, but it's been hot. So usually August is the worst time when it starts drying up and all these mud puddles and tires start breeding the mosquitoes that carry the West Nile. But I will continue to keep sending those to you. If anything, they alert us. If anything happens, I will obviously alert you guys, and then we'll let the papers know and such. But hopefully it'll be a good year.
I know Central Mass Mosquito is spraying in town today, because when I pulled in tonight,
Was it
they had
today?
2 pickup trucks parked in the, by Town Hall.
I still get questions, how do I, and we try to tell everyone, the Central Mass Mosquito is there for you. You go on, there's a form, you fill out the form. It may not be the day you want and the time, but they will work with you. And they do have a schedule when they're in the communities, all the communities that they're in. And they'll also give really good advice on, what to be worried about or not worried about. But it's personal protection when it comes down to try not to be out in the dawn and dusk when it's the worst. But I do hear it's bad out in the community. I've had some inquiry. But there is that. We're part of it. You pay for it. It's a good service, and they're really love talking about the subject. So you have a question, they will love talking to you, not a problem. By the time I get back to you next time, we'll have hopefully had our laptops, our tablets loaded with the software. I'll be able to show you again. That's where it's scheduled for the end of July. So, and then we just have to start learning how to use it and start putting, all our. They're loading all the information from all our various Excel spreadsheets and databases and everything. So hopefully next time a renewal comes up, Lisa will be keying it in. It won't go live online or anything probably until we're ready. I'd like it sooner than later, but everything takes time, get the bugs out. But that's what we've been doing.
And you and I have not had to talk much about things happening this month, so.
It's just been moving along. Everything's moving. Everybody's, working.
So Tony, maybe you can just quickly share with the rest of the board what you'd shared with me tonight about your conversation with your insurance person.
The person that we were going to try and have come during one of our small sessions regarding the state of microblading had surgery, and surgery's just been a little delayed for her healing. So she wasn't able to get together with us, but I did put a call into her today, not today, earlier in the week for today's meeting to find out the status. Microblading from the insurance perspective and what's going on, microblading has been upgraded to MedSpar. So that actually reinforces what we've done as a board with what the current regulations have been, where they're under basically the guidance and oversight of a physician. I would think when you're dealing with, either dermatologists or plastic surgeons seem to be at the top of the heap. So, and that's currently what we have, and I think that reinforces what we felt as a board to protect the public from our standpoint. So that's been a good thing. We still have the issues as we had the discussions today. We have the tattoo artists, and then there's that gray area in between with the piercings, which I honestly think probably would come under more with the microblading, because there is more, it is invasive, and actually there's open wounds that linger for a while. And just from my experience with people I know that have had piercings, they've had you see way more issues with infections or piercings that have had to been removed.
I think you're right.
So, as I said before, I think that, in the interest of protecting the public safety for our community, I think we've been on par, and I think that it's been good that we want the best of the best coming in here, and they're following the guidelines that we establish, and I think that as we continue that, but the way it stands now, from the insurance perspective, they haven't had a lot of claims come in since it's been moved up to the MedSpar category, and I think that we just should continue on the path that we're doing as a board, protecting the public and trying to have strict guidelines. It might be disheartening for some people that come in and apply for licenses, but we're here to, we understand people want to avail themselves of those services, but on the other side of the coin, we just want to make sure that the providers of those services are doing their utmost and to protect the public for our community. And what other communities do, it seems from what in our discussions, some people were looking to our guidelines a little bit, or our things. Am I wrong on that? People have contacted you?
Yeah, no, I have had people ask, and I because I've talked about it, that we're working on it. I told them we're not to that level, but I told them what our consideration and what's worked for us so far to,
And it seems to be for the people that we have licensed, we've had no incidents, which I consider a good thing in the, 2 years now since we've issued the first license. So I just hope we continue and move forward. So that's basically where the information was, Chairman.
Okay. The one thing I just wanted to share tonight, and I don't know if you all saw it, my wife forwarded it to me, there was a report on CNN, I'm sure other news outlets, that a child had died after, I think she died after falling through the top of an opening of an external grease tank.
No,
No, where was
It was
that?
one of these, I don't know what the manufacturer was, but it had like a,
where did she see
I think it
that?
said it was a green cover.
Those plastic
Those
covers,
plastic covers, I don't
when
like.
I encounter them even in septic land, and I'm doing any type of a formal inspection, I yank them because they're very dangerous.
That's the difference between, yeah, like we
They're
don't ban them,
22
but
inch- They're
you're
a
smart.
22-inch plastic cover, and they're self-tapping screws, and when somebody comes to service it, the screws come out, they never go back in the same way or the same place, and typically one or two of them only are in place, and a kid can, I mean, they're 22 inches in diameter.
And they can crack too.
They're just not
So they-
a good thing. And they sell them a lot.
Wow.
There's a lot of them in that I've encountered, so.
That was, when was that, Ray?
Last week.
Last week. So it's something we may just want to, I don't know if it's something you think we may want to amend our grease tank regulations to include some type of a,
Any tank, even a tight tank, any tank.
you know,
It should be concrete, should be a concrete
Up till
structure.
now, I've just said, yep, they're allowed by code, so.
And, well, you know what, if, I will get that Maya Angelou statement. It's like I did what I did when I knew then, when I knew better, I did better, and I think that that's what we're trying to do, and I think it's,
times are changing and you just have to try to keep up with what's being done out there.
and as it becomes evident to us, because there's no way you can know exactly what's going on with everything,
Yeah, the
so.
plastic covers, the plastic risers are a lot cheaper than the concrete. They're a lot easier to handle, you can pick them right up and but they're not safe.
I think a lot of assumptions is that if they're installed in the back of a facility, that's not where there's a lot of foot traffic, so,
That's where the kids go.
yeah. So just something for information. So anyone else have anything you want to bring up tonight besides Charlie's motion?
So I just wanted to let you know what it does say, external grease tank shall be provided with a minimum 20-inch diameter manhole frame and covered to grade over the inlet and outlet tees, but it doesn't say,
Right, because
Cast
when
iron.
we
it
have,
doesn't say cast iron.
when we've allowed the external,
So this is the section here.
and was that before Susan was the director? Yeah,
Yes. Luann?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we had without naming names, a pizza restaurant come before us, and I think they put a couple in series in back of their location, if I remember correctly, and I think it was that brand that has a green cover.
Okay, well, there we go. Thank you for that, I did not know that.
Can the covers be replaced?
Okay, sorry to interrupt your
Yeah, just
line,
find
Charlie.
A more solid
We
one.
can get
Is it right?
Yeah.
Your line, sorry, yep. Go.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion.
I will give you that opportunity.
I'd like to make a motion that we close tonight's meeting so I can eat.
I will
You
second
can leave
that
out that bottom
motion
part.
Second motion for Charlie to eat or to close the meeting?
for Charlie to eat and to close the meeting.
Okay, motion's been put forth and second to adjourn tonight's meeting. All those in favor signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Motion carries unanimously 4-0. Good night, Tewksbury. It is 7:28 PM.
It took.
A
Thank you,
record for us.
everyone.
AC's going.